Hey, hello everyone, welcome to this video. It is October 1st, 2025. I'm Chris here with Elevate Cafe. Let's jump straight onto the charts and take a look because we've had interesting moves out of the equity markets, interesting moves in crypto. Things are starting to kind of turn. I think we've gotten some decent failures happening in crypto towards the lows, and we can see how they're turning and breaking some key upside levels, which are telling us that it's probably time to accelerate the positions on the long side. So that's kind of what I've been doing. I've been entering slightly on the previous breaks back here and above those key moving averages I was talking about yesterday and the videos prior, and now they were starting to break above that 118,000. I think this is a first signal that the market could continue to go. Now I would love to see a lot more strength. Like that's why I put something on Twitter today saying that once we get back above 120, I think that's a decent gap between this latest high and 122 to kind of suggest that the break it's fairly serious. Right now we're still just kind of barely above that level. Nonetheless, it's important, but you really don't want to fail back here. And if we do fail back above this kind of 114, I think we can be in a little bit of a trouble. So let's see how this goes. But I do have confidence now, based on the fact that we failed to break below this level here at 107, and we cracked above 114. We're attacking 118. We break above this trend line and above this channel, that this move can continue seriously towards 135, 140, and so on. So I just kind of wanted to revisit this Bitcoin wave count. I also put this down here. I also wanted to show you kind of where we are in the uptrend on the weekly time frames in here. And if this is all we're getting in the correction, I mean, we're still kind of targeting back here towards about 165. So let's talk a little bit about the XRP and see where this is at, because I think this tried to finish off this fourth wave, and probably did right now, since we turned back. I would like to see this market get back a little bit with at least a few $100s above this level back there, and we maybe at about 45, maybe 45.50, even 4600, I'll have a lot more confidence in here. I would also want to watch the strand line. So I'm still a little bit timid when it comes to Ethereum, but it does look good. And the correction from the high to this low is very beautiful. A nice three-wave setback. I mean, it's just it's just amazing to watch how these waves are unfolding and kind of how the market reacts. So let's see if we can get a bit more strength out of Ethereum, but I am looking higher as well. And then on Ripple, and we'll touch on the technical page too here by going and looking at the moving averages and kind of the levels up there. And Ethereum, it's still just struggling a little bit, but it's it's coming back. I wanted to break that trend line, break above this 3 level, and then I would be a lot more inclined to kind of start opening some longs and maybe press them above 314 and 318. So this looks decent as well, but it needs a little bit more work. So Bitcoin on the first place in terms of the reaction, then Ethereum, and then XRP. That's kind of my order in terms of their importance coming from these lows. So I just wanted to touch on the wave counts now, and I'll touch on the wave count also on the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq here in briefly, but I want to go to kind of what I'm seeing on the technical page here with Bitcoin, because remember we talked yesterday and the day before about the break above these key moving averages, how important that is, and kind of how I'm looking for that as a signal to start nibbling on the long side here. We are breaking right now, so now I want to see that 20-day moving average start to turn upwards, and I want that to offer support on any pullbacks. As long as I'm above these, and look at the volume that came in today, that's pretty good. That's what you want to see behind the move. So as long as I'm above those, then I'm gonna trade with the long side and be confident that I have the wind at my back, right? That's all I always want to do. I want to have the wind in my back. I don't want to trade against the market. I want to go with the market as as they're showing me that they're buying it. I want to be right there with them, and I don't want to fight anybody, like just let them continue to buy, and I'm just gonna tail along, and as long as that goes, I'll continue to go with it. So that's on Bitcoin, and you can see here in Ethereum, you can see what I mean, like that we're still below that 50-day moving average. That's a good level to kind of watch. If we can get back above it, that's what I've said, like this is about 4,400. So if we can get towards 46 or so, I mean that's even better, and we can get out of there. And XRP, it's still a bit tricky, but that's why I'm choosing this kind of $3 level for a little bit of a pivot. If we can get back above there and maybe go, like I said, 310, and then I'll be much happier. And once again, I mean, the trend line here, right? That's pretty good. So let's crack above it. I mean, what's wrong with that? And I don't need, I don't need to buy it here. I want to buy it here, right? Because either way, if I want to get over towards kind of $4 or something, I got to get through this line first, and that's all I need. So let's see how that goes. And now, really quickly, I want to touch on the equity markets, which continue to act very well, and we've been thankfully on the right side of this by kind of following the trend, watching the nice little corrections that we've gotten here. I know there was a lot of talk there about an ending diagonal and about a fifth wave, and look, the fifth wave continues to develop, so it's really hard to fight this so-called fifth wave, because we don't know if that's what it is. But so when it's going to happen, we'll see it, and as I said many times, the way you see that is by getting stopped out of your positions. Like if the market turns and it starts to kind of hit your stops, then it's time to get out. And if that's going to end up being a fifth wave, that's fine. But hopefully by then you'll be safely in a lot of cash or with a lot of reduced exposure. So until this happens, I'm fairly bullish in here. I mean, I just kind of follow along, and I've been actually opening new positions. I've talked about some of this yesterday, and Nvidia looks pretty good today. I like Zscaler. I've added on that. I've opened up a long on Amazon, but that's just based on a little bit of a failure to break lower. So I want to participate as long as possible in this market, maybe moving towards 7,000. But the trend is still up, and I'm watching this now. This little drop in here, I don't know what that is. We'll see. If we break back below this key zone here, right there, then I think we can talk about possible a fourth wave forming and a reaction. We have to reduce some positions, but so far so good. And then we also got, I think, a brand new all-time high in the Nasdaq Composite. I mean, it's just a beautiful trend, and maybe it's going to get all the way up here towards 23, 322. I mean, month of October, September, this has been one of the best Septembers in years. October, it's another kind of notorious month. And then, I think after the middle of October, you started to turn back on a positive seasonality, for end of October, November, December into January. And so at some point, we'll have to pay the piper. Like at some point, I think, that correction will happen, and it might be a bit deeper. Who knows? but we'll just have to deal with it when it happens. I've seen enough cycles to know that nothing gets that easy, and at some point you got to navigate those corrections. And that's where the experience kind of comes in, and you're hopefully trying to get out of the way in time, not to get too much damage, or be able to hedge, and try to save capital, because it's when the market goes up, it becomes easier to just buy stocks and they go, and then your account grows. But then how you manage when it turns, that's the biggest problem that we as traders have, and that's the most damaging to to the portfolio, to the psyche, to being able to navigate that. So if you have too much exposure, if you have too leveraged, it becomes so much more difficult. So we'll see. So far, things are looking good, and we're still moving up. So thanks for watching, guys. I that's all I have. Sorry for this kind of rant at the end, but any questions, drop them in the comments, and I'll see you later.